Come on, guys.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order at 9. Roll call. Camilla?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Amanda? Here. Scott?
Here.
Me. Petitions and communications, oral or written?
Just a couple of things I wanted to mention to you. Senate Bill 3, which is the Fisher Creek bill, went through, and now it's on to, has to go through every process from the subcommittees to from the Senate to the House. Now it's in the House. Passed through this week. It goes to House Finance, and then after that, I believe it goes to the full House. It passed 11-0 just this last week through appropriations.
Yeah.
So it's
Congratulations.
So it's on its way.
Cool.
And
So will you be there for the next one?
I don't know if they'll have another.
Okay.
I couldn't go this last week because I had a 3-state meeting for the Amtrak Southwest Chief. We had people there from Kansas, New Mexico, and Colorado, and we had people there from Amtrak, and I had to attend that meeting. So, I couldn't send any of the council people because we had a work session that night as well. So by the time the people that went up to testify didn't get back till like 9 o'clock, so they couldn't go up either. But the county commissioners were. They went up and testified for us, and I think Gina Chimino was there to testify, and other people, so did a good job for us, so that's great. The other thing a couple other things I wanted to mention is with this coronavirus that's going on, I attended that meeting. I was at the courthouse yesterday, county commissioners, and of course, we've all been aware of what's going on with that, and they're talking about just being very careful. Social distancing is probably the biggest thing. Even here in City Hall, just gotta be very careful what we do. I mean, we're seeing so many different reactions, even in church. Tom, I think you probably saw that, heard about that on Sunday. You know, they're talking about major changes in the way churches activities go on. But social distancing, it seems to be the biggest thing. No more handshaking. If you're sick, stay home. Just be very, very careful. As a matter of fact, I was very cautious with this Amtrak meeting myself because some of the people that are the upper echelon which were supposed to be at that meeting were from both the state of Washington. So before I went, I called, was anybody from Washington coming? Luckily, they were not. There was somebody coming out, they were coming out of Chicago. When I get to the meeting, I talked to Ray Lang, who is one of the guys from Amtrak, and he told me that they had their first case from Amtrak out of Chicago.
I was just thinking of that.
So, so we just have to be very, very cautious. And I guess the major thing that I wanted to ask you guys to be very careful as judiciously is economically, this thing is going to impact us. It's going to impact the country, the world. So be careful what you guys do with, economically with your finances, and because it's not going to. I'm not sure how hard it's going to hit here in Trinidad this summer, but it could be a 1-year deal. So just be very careful how you manage the finances.
I've received reports from the Colorado Tourism Office that I'll send on to you when I get back to the office on the impact that tourism is taking a bit of a hit. But some of the things that they've passed on down to us is kind of like what Phil said, especially the welcome centers as one of the primary points for travelers that hit your city. So she wanted to know if it impacted any of our volunteers, if any of the volunteers had said, I don't want to go to work, and what do you do about it? Well, there's nothing you can do about it. If they're elderly, which is one of the things that you have to watch for, or if they're immunocompromised in any way or anything like that, we are to let them just stay home, not have to be put in the line of fire like that. We haven't had any international travelers in the Welcome Center in the last 2 weeks. I've been kind of watching for that so that I can report back to them on international travelers. No travelers have asked anything about what the coronavirus in Colorado has been. Nobody's actually even mentioned it. However, I have put hand sanitizer in the restrooms. We washed handles down daily, desks and stuff like that, bathroom doors, coffee pots, water fountains, everything 2 and 3 times a day, we're wiping everything down. I've also posted signs in both of the restrooms on proper hygiene to avoid, you know, spread of disease. So wash your hands, cough in your shoulder, get your flu shot, things like that. I'm having a hard time finding hand sanitizer to replace what I have in there. It's going fast. I've tried Amazon, I've tried Sam's Club, Walmart, Safeway, everything
Just like to
online.
add to that, since we're a hotel and we have a small nightmare going on, so you can take a teaspoon of bleach to a gallon of water, and so we're trying, we have it going on everywhere.
So I have cleaning sanitizer, I can't find a hand sanitizer to put on the counter. Everything else I've got Clorox wipes coming, probably not for a couple of weeks, but we're working on it.
I was at Walmart last night and they just have tons of alcohol.
Right.
And that's another thing that you can do. You can use alcohol, I guess, wipes to clean everything down too. And especially the welcome center, because you have an extra travelers. The whole thing is just taking those extra precautions. You know, those of us that do traveling, like I said, I was in Lahana Friday, I was in Pueblo Monday. You know, I know a wall take you go to different places, you guys might as well, so be traveling, so just be very cautious, I guess.
Cognizant of,
Very cautious.
wash your hands, do a knuckle, sort of a
Yeah.
handshake.
Have we had any positive cases here in Colorado? 14
Bolus was just on TV now when I came down.
He actually announced a state of an emergency,
Okay.
so that we can get the proper,
Funding.
because we want the funding in place to make sure that we have test kits mostly, so that we can do the proper testing.
Well, they have a test center in Denver now.
Yeah.
It's Laurie, it's a drive-up.
The big thing that I was asked at that meeting yesterday is they still have not, you know, they've not let the information out, how long this virus will stay on the surface. They have not determined that. I'm surprised they've not yet determined that, because this has been going on now for a couple of months. But they don't know. So they were gonna have they're gonna have a daily call with some people, I guess. And they were gonna ask that question to see if the CDC has come up with any other ideas of how long it lasts on the surface. And the other one thing they did mention yesterday is that the virus itself is easy to kill. That's why hand washing, you know, the disinfectants, because what happens is it's like contained in like a little bud, it looks like, because you've probably seen pictures of it. And when it breaks, and if there's, you know, soaps and stuff, it kills it. So it's easy to destroy, it's just that it's so widespread. That's crazy. And the two hotspots in the country right now are New York, in one area I was watching that just a little while ago, and of course, Washington State. I was talking to my sister last night who lives in Seattle. She was telling me her niece's boyfriend got sick yesterday, but they don't know if it's, so he was going to the hospital, and the people with, they're susceptible, you know,
Upper respiratory.
asthma issues. People with asthma issues are really, really susceptible.
Respiratory, all that.
So be very careful, so. I'll let you guys, not the best thing to report, but it has to be done.
Pretty scary stuff out there.
Deb Malone had mentioned that she wanted to address the board this morning. She wanted to do it early. I haven't heard from her this morning, but obviously she's not present, so we might kind of maybe throw her in sometime, if that's okay with you, if she.
Sure.
There is a Highway of Legends meeting later on after the board meeting, so.
One other thing before I forget is, Monday at our work session, we took up the mural issue in town, just for information. We're taking it into a couple of steps, because there's just, do we wanna do it, what are the steps we gotta do, but then the other part is the legal part of it. Because after we were presented with all the information, we just couldn't do it all at one sitting, so it's gonna take probably 2 or 3 meetings before we determine how we approach this mural stuff in town, so just let you know, we're working on it.
Like the project that we have working with Safeway, we'll make sure that it's all within everything that the city wants.
Yeah.
You know, if it's, if we have to put a moratorium on it, we will.
Well, we do have a moratorium on right now within the city, because we wanted to make sure that it's done right.
And that's what we wanna do, we wanna make sure that it's done within good taste.
Well, the thing about it is that we wanna make sure that there's a historical part of town. What whoever does the painting, that it's designed properly and
And
has
that's-
certain aspects.
And that's what we were looking at, we're making sure that it's all.
And there are people that are pushing us to try to get it done this summer, but we wanna make sure that, we wanna walk before we run with this thing, so it may not get done this summer.
Right.
And we wanna make sure that we have all of our, I's dotted and our T's crossed before we.
The one thing about it is if we have it all in place within good, everything is good with the city and the way we do it, and, but we just don't wanna just put anything up there, we wanna make
Exactly.
sure that it's done right.
Because there's stuff like, buildings that are on the historical registers and or could be potential. So these are all legal things that the next meeting that we have, that we will get into the legalities of all this stuff. It's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Hot topic.
I'd just like to add for when Deb Malone does come, I haven't seen her in a while, but, so Deb Malone, so then when she does approach the board, you guys know her background, so she worked like for 5280 magazine, Colorado Tourism Office, putting periodicals out. Her and her husband moved over to, and so she has tons of media connections in Denver. Her and her husband moved over to La Vida about 20 years ago, and she's been in the Highway 12 group, the La Vida group, the Chamber over there, whatever, so when she comes, that we know that she has a background in marketing in that area. Approval of invoices. Oh, approval of minutes.
So you'll notice on your minutes for February 19th, that the January 29th minutes were approved. We'll need to correct that, they were actually tabled, because we didn't have a quorum to vote on them.
Right.
Cy was absent and Amanda and Scott were seated yet, they
Yeah.
couldn't.
Okay.
So, we'll need to approve those minutes, so that's a correction to your February 19th minutes.
Thanks. So,
I move to approve the minutes of January 29th. If you all read it, wow.
a second,
I don't
I'll agree.
know if you can.
Anybody
And
else?
Amanda and Scott cannot vote
Yeah.
on that,
Okay.
only the previous board members, on the 29th.
February 19th,
No, we're dealing with the 29th.
The 29th.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Tom, you need to
One
say.
of these,
I
yeah.
said
All in favor?
Aye.
Cy?
I wasn't there for that meeting, I think, right?
You were the 29th.
You were the 29th.
That's the one I need.
That's what we're
Yes,
approving.
yes, okay. Now the 19th. Sorry. A little confusing there.
everybody was here for that.
Yeah, we approved that one.
So I'll need a motion for the
A
19th.
motion to approve the minutes for February 19th.
You actually can't prove.
You can.
As chairperson.
She's asking for a motion.
I'm
Oh, ask them, yes, I said, okay.
I'll make the motion to approve those minutes.
Second?
19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
But I wasn't there then.
Right. Tom?
Okay, all right, we got it.
Whew,
Thank
that
you,
was,
guys.
that was hard, guys.
I thought I
Good
was
morning.
supposed to abstain about
But
it.
we're okay. We got it.
Now we're gonna roll through everything.
Okay, approval of invoices. Upfront media, Phillips Broadcasting, fulfillment postage, and what else did you have?
The Chronicle News is on there, and in addition to that, if you'll look in your packet, I have, I received an email saying that our website domain, we need to pay for that.
Yeah.
That's coming up, it's gonna expire. So that, I believe, is, $79? Is that correct?
75 1 year?
In fact,
75 for 1
I would
year.
encourage, if you could buy 2 or 3 or 5 years, that we would do that. There was a time in the city, about 2 years ago, where it wasn't being manned right, and we lost it,
We
and
lost
somebody
it.
sitting here in the community knew it and bought it.
And I hate to
Became a
say
bidding
this,
war.
but there's 75, 119, 195, 295, and 499 for lifetime.
The 5 year looks like a
Yeah.
good deal, or the 10 year, but that's, maybe 5 year would be safer, $199.
And lifetime is $4.99.
$4.99.
I'm telling you, if this ever, I mean, for $4.99, we're for sure that we always have Visit Trinidad, Colorado.
Do we always
I
want
don't know-
Visit Trinidad,
I
Colorado?
don't know if we do, but it was a nightmare.
I don't know that you'd want to always keep that domain, but it would be recommended not to change it, because once people
Yeah,
get
it
accustomed
was
to
a
it, then
nightmare
they know
for
where
us.
to go.
It was.
It was a nightmare.
But it does kinda lock you in if something should change as well, so.
Well,
You can't change after
really-
that.
It doesn't
Well, I mean,
lock
if you
us in.
wanted to change the name of your domain.
But that just means we wouldn't use it. I think that's even a benefit, now that I've heard her say that, it's a better benefit. Cause what if we decide we're not gonna use that anymore, we start using a new one, but somebody decides to grab it then, and then starts playing off stuff that we did in the, or makes a site that's really bad, and somebody looks at Visit Trinidad, you know.
Websites are not gonna go away, you will be,
Yeah.
I just don't see
Yeah.
that happening in the future.
Right.
It's a
Well,
type
what
of
I-
media
We
that's
just
not.
got this one.
Yeah, yeah,
We just did it.
yeah, when we had, I mean,
It was a nightmare.
yeah, it was a nightmare. We were down, we were bidding at midnight and 1 AM against like 5 people we didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard.
And even if you do get rid of it, it'd be good to have it redirect to
Right,
whatever
to
the new
some,
site
to
is.
redirect,
So-
that's what I
We can,
meant.
just like we did with Discover
Right.
Trinidad, we redirected it to the new one.
Right.
So would someone like to make a motion that we would like to do the lifetime for $4.99 then?
I make a motion to do the lifetime for $4.99, give it, yeah.
Second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Because it's lots
All right.
of.
Just administratively, this piece of paper, Marty, that I have, where's the domain name?
It's visittrinidadcolorado.com. And yeah, you can't really read this, I had to do a screenshot, I couldn't print it. Sorry.
visittrinidadcolorado.com.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And then, so to loop that in, does it, to approval of the invoices would be Outfront Phillips, the fulfillment, the domain name, and, the Chronicle News. Would someone like to make a motion that, we approve all those billings?
I motion to approve all the invoices.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Election of chair and vice chair, I would like to nominate Tom Kress for the chair position for the tourism board.
Well, someone else, because you're a chair.
Oh, can someone, oh,
Well, nominations are open, so
So-
if
sorry.
anybody would like to make a
Just
nomination.
to kind of slow this down just a second.
Yeah.
So is there an open discussion?
sure, absolutely.
I mean, that just would allow,
Absolutely,
that would.
Help us as the new,
Five-
as the
Yeah.
new people
So-
to understand.
Well, not only that, but as
right,
a follow-on to your comments, which is what I'm trying to do here, is
Sure.
just to say, if we can do that, then somebody
No.
can make that motion.
absolutely. So usually somebody sits on the board for about a year before they get nominated. Tom has not only sat on the board longer than that, he's also been an integral part of this last year. He's worked with Marty a lot. He's represented us when we went in front of city council. He's worked hands in hand. I don't know how many times he's been to the Welcome Center and dealt with people.
Conferences.
It's conferences.
Already.
He's just done so much.
So we
in
know
his
he's
position.
qualified in all,
Yeah,
in all of
he's
that.
qualified.
I didn't know that.
I just.
And he's been a great representative of the city of Trinidad and the tourism board in any events that he has attended. He's really been a great role model.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And just like we had to audition, so
Yeah.
to say, or
Uh-huh.
bring our piece to why
Sure.
we wanted to do
Present.
that. Present, thank you. Is this something you want to go forward with, or?
I believe so. I
Okay.
believe that, I would like to follow in the direction of Cy and Camilla and the last board members that I've sat with to promote the city and do the good things that the city needs to have done for it. And in that way, through the tourism board and working with the city council and the Welcome Center and just bring in good things to Trinidad. That's the way I feel.
Yeah, I've sat on this board and not sat on the board, for the last 18, 19 years. I've probably been on it 15, 16 years. And I really have to say that Tom has really been one of the people that has jumped on the board, and he's an integral part of almost everything that we do. He really cares about it. When we had problems with even the Times and the trolley, he was out there riding with them next morning, and there's only a few of us to decide from. And Tom, if this whole room was filled with people, I couldn't tell you how good Tom has been with working hand in hand with the Welcome Center this year. He really has. And he's been involved in other events that goes on in the city. He's been involved in the Blues Fest in the past. He knows he's homegrown here. He's aware of all the different events and things that have happened. He's paid really close attention to the way the financials have been done. He's really followed that. He shows up with the information. He's never blindsided by anything because he's always researched it.
I'm glad we've given you that opportunity to say that.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Just to follow along in this conversation, what I would like to, or let's just say my thought process says that if somebody steps down as the chairperson, could we have a position such as a past president, I think the word is emeritus, so that whoever's that chairperson then becomes distinguished as they hold that position, which as our tourism grows here in the community, this may be something that provides a bit of distinction when you go to outside of Los Animas County, if you're going to the state level for state tourism meetings or things like that.
You mean like that's how the chamber runs theirs?
I'm not certain. I don't know that.
They run president,
So
then they run a delegate.
this is just, and
And
then you
you gotta
could,
be careful with that, because that would have to be part of the city's council.
Ordinance.
well,
Anyway, going forward.
I absolutely say that, and that's, acknowledge that, and that's why I say that, to say, do we wanna look at that going forward? And we may have to talk to the
Right.
city attorney to say, how do we do something like this? This may give us an opportunity to expand the size of the board. And of course, that starts to crank into another whole conversation that we don't wanna get into. But sometimes you can lay the groundwork by these kinds of things that you could trigger later. That's all I wanted to get out to say there, that it would give you the distinction.
I have actually been honored to be part of any boards that I've been on in the city, and I feel really grounded that's only come from my heart, and I'm good at who I am no matter where I'm at, including at the state level speaking. I would still sit on the board, so, I thank you for that, but I am really good and really honored to be part of this community.
One of the things I'd say is I would like to be as good as an advocate as Cy has been for the community of Trinidad. She has represented Trinidad, and I've heard her speak at these conventions. She has instilled a lot in me as to the way I would like to see things.
This is why I wanted to take a moment to talk about this, and I want you all to understand that. Not questioning it at all, I agree with it.
No,
I'll make that nomination if we're ready to move forward.
Okay. Can we have a second?
I second.
And
Everybody approve?
Everybody approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I thank you all. And I make a motion to nominate Cy as co-chair,
Well, it would be vice chair. wouldn't it?
vice chair.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm stepping down as vice chair. And I nominate her so she could continue guiding you guys for that next move later on. And I would like to continue,
Thank you.
if she's willing to take it.
Yeah, it's an honor to work with all of you.
And it was an honor to work with you guys. All right? And I make that motion.
We need a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You wanna take over now, Tom?
No.
Okay,
We'll let you
next-
finish
so
this
next
one out.
one.
Since you start open the meeting, she has to finish. So that'll take place at the
That's
next.
good,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, Kachara ski lift advertising.
This was tabled at the last meeting, and so I brought it back to the board, since you've had time to review the presentation or the proposal on advertising on the back of the ski lifts at Kachara for, was it 75?
There's 73 different chairs, or actually, let me double check.
500 per chair.
73, 500 per chair,
500 per chair.
or there's the $5,000 tower sponsorship.
Okay, I would like to start a nomination of a $500 chair.
I mean,
It's open discussion if anybody, or do we
You
want
can do, to follow on our, Wally, on our, or to continue on with our conversation, is there other advertising opportunities rather than just a chair?
Yes, but you'd have to contact the people at Kuchara and work out a specific deal. The only two that they have advertised are the $500 chair or the $5,000 ski
So-
lift bowl.
So if we approve this, we're talking about one chair, 1 in 73 chances that somebody, and we don't have any background of who the population is that's gonna see that, and, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I just make a reminder to the board that at the mayor's introduction earlier, he was talking about cost control. So this pandemic or thing that we're going through with the coronavirus is going to impact our numbers for this year.
Duly noted.
So
to know?
just letting you know.
Thank you for
So
reminding us.
I'm not trying to,
Mm-hmm.
tell you anything, I'm just.
I'm gonna rescind my motion right now, cause I have a question.
Okay.
Can I?
Sure.
How long are they doing this, for?
I think
When is
it's.
their goal to
I-
end it?
And they're planning on having the ski lift operational by July 3rd of this summer. That being said, I think this is going to be an ongoing fundraiser for a long time because I think they want to get more and more of the ski resort operational over time. Talked in here in 2 years about their plans to get snowmaking machines possibly. So I definitely think that this is going to be ongoing for a long time. That being said, in regard to this summer with limited travel, these will be permanent fixtures on these chairs, so they won't just be there for this summer. So even in future years, they'll be present there.
And
So.
one more question for you. So one lift is operational, correct? And this is the one that's being worked on.
It will be
and one
operational
second.
by July 3rd.
And the chair will be on the first one, the one that's
Yes.
not a new one that we run
It'll
the
be on
risk
the
of
first section.
if they don't finish the fundraising, then we'll never get the chance to get
Yeah.
that lift going. Okay. One other thing, I kind of did some research this weekend with the business, with the restaurant. Bob and Earl saw a huge amount of some spring break tourists coming through. Majority of the people who were coming through were families heading up to go skiing or snowboarding. Just in my job, I'm able to talk to people, had brought up the idea that Kuchara may be offering a ski, snow park, mountain bike park in the summertime. And it was well received. It was one of those things that, hey, we're from Amarillo. If we could only drive 3 hours and still get the benefit of being at a ski resort, snowboarding park, we would stay here in a heartbeat. So that was kind of, it was interesting because we didn't see any slowdown in business whatsoever due to anything happening in the news. We were slammed all weekend long, mornings, nights, everything. And majority of the people that I had talked to were all on their way to go skiing and snowboarding. So that was an
Same at the Welcome
interesting.
Center.
Yeah. I'll add that I think there might be more people looking for outside type activities with the amount of festivals and big events that are being canceled.
Sure.
So it might have a different effect as well.
And I do want to add, that, so it's your first spring break in Trinidad. So March has always been or spring break for Texas, which is actually the last few days of February into March, have always been the fourth busiest time through the year.
Okay.
But because January and February are so down, it doesn't really reflect in the tourism tax like it should.
Sure.
But you are right, this town gets slammed. We are the stop-off point to Breckenridge, Vale, Aspen, all those places.
And I missed a lot,
I'm so
I'm
glad
sure,
that
because of the road
that
construction.
you operated the
So,
way that you did, which sounds wonderfully.
Mhm.
Because that's the advertisement that our city needs, is being able to come into town times like that and to find places to eat and things to do.
And
And
accommodate for them, for sure.
Right, yeah.
One of the things about Cuchera, it does swell. We grew up here, we've always known, and that's how Cuchera was built. It will swell to 8,000 to 10,000 people on spring break in the summer. It does. If you go there for their parade on the 4th of July, the town is just unbelievable. So I feel it's a good thing to have our name and our mark on wherever we can for $500, and to see how many people will see that.
And so the program that was done on Facebook, 2 chairs were purchased, right?
Yeah,
So
or
those
Trinidad
are-
Trails.
Oh, so those will say Trinidad Trails, Trinidad Trails, and then ours will say visit, okay.
Mhm.
Just trying to get as much Trinidad, thinking how much is gonna be out there.
Yeah.
And is there a restaurant there?
There's a coffee shop there, and then there's the lodge right now. And they're throwing regular events at the lodge, but no, I do not believe there's like an operational restaurant
You see, I had
at the resort right now.
people from Florida stay at my gas station this week. Came in a big Class A motorhome and parked it there, had motorcycles. I sent them out that way. I told them to go see Monument Lake and that whole area, go up to Cuchara. I looked on my phone, Dog Bar was published as being open. They went, it was not. I know I've made that trip before myself, and I get all the way over there, and I can't find anything to eat. They came back and said, we couldn't even find a place to use the bathroom. So,
When
I guess
when
the
were they there?
circle, I'm sorry?
When were they there?
Let me see, we're at Wednesday, I believe it was Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was Sunday they were there, not Monday. So I guess to circle back here, I'd be more interested in investing the $500 or any dollar amount where we get a greater bang for the buck than just one chair. The other,
Yes.
like if they had a restaurant, I'd be a real advocate in advertising on their menu, as a simple example. The other thing is to circle back to what the mayor says, so, or suggests economically, so I'm not a real big fan of this right now. I'd like to either table it or I'll probably vote against it for those reasons.
Do you think?
If we want to have a restaurant that's a lodge that's worth going to, we need a ski resort. We need, and Cuchara, like you said, would be busy anyway as it goes. It's a huge tourist destination for our part of town. That, I think the chair is a good way for us to get involved in getting our names onto, and getting ourselves onto this person's platform. I'm all for it. I'm a snowboarder myself. I would love to have something that is here. I don't think that will happen unless people like us do the investment and help them out. And so.
And I think
that's
the
where
dog bar, that it probably has never happened with the older employees. That probably this is something new for the dog bar, that they were closed, but they were always open.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And I did hear that they were closing down some days, but I'm surprised that they were closed, because they were always open. So maybe they just took Sunday and Monday off, which is shocking to me. But I am in favor of spending the $500 to represent. I knew what Cuchara meant to us growing up when my daughter was growing up, and the people that would come here to visit Cuchara. There are so many people that live from Texas that have summer homes in Cuchara that do come to Trinidad, that they will get our name out is, I think, is the best. And
And I think if this community, if we want Kachara to be behind us. I think, in a sense, we want to be behind them. And this is a small way of being part of Kachara. $500 is our investment, along with the city, and I think it's a good thing, because don't forget they stop here before they go to Kachara, before they take Highway 12.
One more question. Do you know how many chairs they've sold so far?
I don't know the exact number, because it also has been changing, but yeah.
Afterwards, I'd like to talk to you, because I think I would like to get a chair that says, that came to Trinidad, and if we could get more businesses to put Trinidad on the back of chairs, it'll show Trinidad, La Quinta, Trinidad support, Trinidad support, Trinidad support,
Mhm.
so, I don't know if we could.
And maybe Scott, at this meeting
Just to make
that
it
Tom
more
and I
worth
are
it.
gonna have with the Highway 12, that advertising in a restaurant menu is excellent. I think that, or even on the wall somewhere in one of these places that people
Or a bench at the bottom of the mountain where
Sure.
people are gonna walk by it, they're gonna see it.
Sure.
To me, this is a better bang for our investment. I'm absolutely in favor of supporting the event and the idea, I love the concept.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not certain I wanna tag the $500 towards the bottom of, or the back of one chair where it's only 1 in 73. If we had all 73 chairs, we wouldn't have this conversation, I'd be pushing the vote.
But without the chairs, we won't have the bench at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
There won't be any reason to come down the hill to see the bench, because the chairs aren't operating, the lift isn't working, there is no recreation.
I see your attachment to that idea. In other words, I follow your dominoes on that one, I do. I don't have enough information to know whether that's true or not, that thought process.
I think one of the biggest things that they're doing the chair, the name on the back of the chair, is to raise money to get the ski resort going, right? That's what I see. So we're a part of that. We're a part of helping that community get something going, and I think that's a good thing.
The
And
initial
that's-
start,
that's-
and then
those
the
are
rest
along the
follows.
lines that I see. Phil, do you have any input?
No, other than, the only question I had is, you know, and this is a different subject, are we doing any advertising in the actual town of,
No.
cause that's where there's a lot of people that go there, that's something you guys need to talk about. at
That's
some point.
another great, that's
That's
a
another
great
great-
point. Thank
right.
you, Mayor.
A
That's
city-
great.
a city bench.
And this is a beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's a
know.
great point.
And if we do this now, in a year from now, when they really get going, we might have funds to do something else that they might do the bench. We're done with the $500. It might take a year for that bench to come up, and then we might be ready for something else too. And then that means we'll have two things shining bright on us, even on our name on by the time a restaurant gets put in
No.
the Kachara ski area, maybe it will be a year, and we can consider that also.
Not
in
to
years
me.
past.
And to answer, the mayor's question, we do have our visitor guides in
Coming up.
Kachara. I'm not sure which restaurant it is, if it was the Dog Bar or
Or
if it's
Timbers.
the Timbers.
Timbers.
It's one of the two, we do
How
have
about-
our visitor guides.
How about the country store? Do you have any?
I'll have to look on my fulfillment list, but I know it's,
'Cause that gets
we've
lost.
got
That-
visitor guides in Levita, Kachara, Walsenburg, we did that entire loop.
Even that, real estate office, there's a one in there. Anything that's in that area.
Plaza.
of
In the plaza,
business.
yeah.
And there is some space that they sometimes paint in that plaza, so that's a good idea to actually have us look into.
Well, the one
even,
thing I
even
see-
the town of Levita itself, because
Uh-huh.
that area in the summer is a hot spot.
It is.
That
Yeah,
entire area,
that's a
so.
great.
We advertise on the restrooms,
Yeah.
walls,
Mhm.
outside or inside, because
Yeah.
that's a,
I just think not having our name is not a good thing.
And not being a participant
Right, and I think-
in the
Participant.
And I think us having
It's more
our
of a
name is
participant than an ad.
'Cause people
weighs
are looking
more
for
than not
partners
having
when
it.
you say, no, you're not a partner.
Mhm.
Right, I agree.
I just think that it will show the people of Kachara and Levita and the surrounding area that we are supporting everything that they're doing. I also will I think it will give us more potential to get other people to know about what we're doing and encourage them to support it as well. I've already been talking to Jared Chatterley over in Raton about how they want to do the same thing, especially if Trinidad does it, because they don't want to get left behind in the support for the outdoor rec industry and stuff like that. So,
Okay, moving
Um,
on.
So-
I hate to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I missed what you said.
No,
and then the last thing I was just going to say was there is there is one season pass that comes with this that I think there will be with the tourism board being able to raffle that off to the community for some sort of thing or something like that. That there is like an added benefit of having.
This could be one.
This is the new
Ideas.
part that I'm not certain I got, and so, can that season pass be broken down into individual tickets so that
I don't know about
the
that.
welcome center can say, you know what, we've got a ticket, or any of our hoteliers could
I
say,
really doubt that.
we've got a ticket. Well, I would mention to you, Camilla, that they do that in Georgetown. For ski,
Could you find that out for us?
Yeah.
If we can not, maybe break that down into a certain amount of passes
Okay.
as to eliminate the full-time pass?
And
Because it would be used just as much if it was a full-time pass,
A
right?
day pass.
So if it was broke down into
Season.
a certain amount of passes, then we would be able to distribute them in that sense like that,
Mm-hmm.
if we could do it that
And
way.
with that, could Camilla, who made the initial motion, make the motion for the $4.95 to have you look into if there's passes available so that different people could come versus one pass for a whole year? Is that what
The
you
question I have is, what's the value of that pass, do you know?
I don't know if they've even given it a value yet.
Yeah.
And the reason why I bring that up, and of course, because you are on our board,
Yeah,
but you gotta watch that enrollment
yeah,
station.
I agree. So,
Anything over
yeah.
$50.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, we would give those away, so.
We would give them away, we would, they're not for.
For
That's
welcome.
not for us.
Yeah,
the
no,
tour-
for
we're gonna give
welcome.
them
center.
away.
I see, okay.
Or that
Well,
one
that's-
pass we could
I'm
give
getting my own
away.
pass.
I'm not stealing, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But I still would like to make a motion.
But
I'm
before,
going-
before we get to that, I just wanna go back internally and say, economically, if we commit this, how does this affect our total advertising budget? If it's a null effect, I'd like to know that. If it is a trade where we have to say, well, we're gonna have to take this $500 from another investment, another advertising investment. So, and Marty, maybe you can speak to that.
One of the, if I could talk for a second.
Yeah.
One of the things that I appreciate that you brought to the last board meeting was, it was these accounts, on the separate ones. It actually gave what we're
Spending
our money on. And I would also like to see a balance of it on each one of these as
There
to
is a
where.
balance.
Yes, so the balance would be on there. So
It
you
is
would-
on there.
So we would actually know what was in that particular fund.
It is in there. Each
Yeah,
one of
so-
those line
so-
items has a balance shown.
Right, so this way, when we do come to vote for something, we know what the balance is, and I think Amanda and Scott had kind of a problem with, we overspent. But in the sense of us keeping in line, that we always have these when we do vote on things, that we do know where we stand at all the time, and then we'll also know if we have to move money from another line item to, cause you said we can only do that one time in 1 year, is?
No, amend the budget. You
Amend
can
the
only
budget.
amend the budget once a year.
Okay.
That's what the new season.
So on Marty, on these, that Tom has here, these are screenshots, correct?
They're
Um,
printouts of the actual, accounting program that the city uses.
So, as I understood what Tom just said, which I advocate, is if you look at that screenshot, that page that was a printout, and it says a number of $700, what we wanna see is that's 700 of, let's say hypothetically, 2,100.
Right.
And
So there's the balance in that account of advertising, so that's where it would come out of.
And
Right.
each of those,
So-
if there are any encumbrances in that line item as well, those are also noted as a
Right.
separate
So-
sheet.
So we would know today that we're voting on this out of the advertisement package, that we do have the monies and we do not have overspent in that area. Right?
You are overspent in advertising and marketing.
It says, balance of 20,000.
And then the next page has the
Next
negative.
page has a
Okay,
negative.
all right.
so, again, we are overspent in advertising at this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And when does that next February tourism
That
fund
is it,
come in?
that line item is overspent for the year, for the budget for this year. However, last year, it was overspent as well. but there was money, there was a balance in the outside contract services line, a significant balance in that the board did not see, it wasn't encumbered, and there was no plans to spend it on outside contract services, because the board's decision was that they were not gonna hire a marketing entity. So that decision being made, that kind of freed that money up to be utilized in other areas. And so that's how they moved the money from outside contract services, not on paper, but in theory, I guess you could say, that money was available to spend for advertising and marketing.
So, line item, because of contracts that are due, we're overspent, but we have money enough to carry the 500, it's just a little different.
Is that correct?
And that's what we'll do the same thing this year, we'll move that money.
And that's why we don't do it to September, because you can only do it once a year, so we do it, figure out what we've spent throughout the year.
When that media buy plan was presented to the board, there was X amount of dollars that were budgeted for a marketing entity, to hire a marketing entity that would handle all of the marketing, all of the advertising, and everything that was done. The board did not move in that direction, so that that bucket of money that was set aside to hire that individual or that company was not going to be used. And knowing that, they knew that they could spend that money for outside contract services in another area.
You guys look like you're very confused.
No, well, I
No.
know that we have a,
I
I
know.
know that we're very settled in our money right now for spending $45.95, so I'm okay with that, and I also like it that it's not, based on what you said, Mayor, it's not a continual contract like we have to pay $4.95, or it's just a one-time shot for $4.95, and it's really a partnership. It's really so that Kuchara doesn't think that the City of Trinidad's Tourism Board does not want to be a partner to helping them grow. If it was $5,000, it would be a little differently. At $4.95, I would much rather have a chair at the very bottom, but I completely understand what you say. We're not going to even get to the chairs unless we all show that we're partners to get it open.
Okay.
So, there was a motion on the table from Camilla.
I'm gonna make a motion for us to approve this chairlift, one chairlift at $500 for this year.
I'll second the motion.
And does the board want to discuss what they want on the back of that chair as an advertisement? Is there a letter amount, or can we put a logo, or?
I'll double check. All I know is that it will say brought to you by Trinidad Tourism Board.
So it'll be our
Okay.
insignia. Well,
They probably might not have the insignia, but they'll probably say Trinidad Tourism Board.
Yeah, but I can double check. They might be able to put the insignia, but
okay.
yeah.
Like
So
we
can your
remember you saying
motion
that the
then,
last time.
Camilla, include that, the advertising will say such and such, so that
Just put all your advertising to be
determined at work session?
Thank you, Mayor.
I make a motion to approve the advertising at $500 with us discussing what will be put on the board to go along with it after we make contact with them.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, kiosk advertising and marketing.
So at the last meeting, I informed the board that there was opportunities to advertise on the back of some of those kiosks, and that the guidelines would be different for those kiosks that were located on the interstate or near the interstate, or by CDOT would set those guidelines, and Highway 12 as well. So I had asked the board to take a look at those kiosk locations to see how much room there was and what was available, so you could decide if you wanted to utilize those locations or not, and for what.
I think there was one that didn't have any access, or So I would throw that one out, I mean, that to me doesn't
Yeah,
seem worth
it's
anything.
empty on the back, but it's not facing,
Any place.
and people are not gonna look behind it.
For sure.
Is basically what you said, it'd be a
Where's
waste of
that
your
one?
money, even though it's
Uh,
empty and available.
That one was exit 3, or I don't remember.
I think it was, I'll have
Exit
to look at
3.
that again, yeah.
And then there was one in Cokedale, which I don't see any purpose for, just because it's so close, and it seems, that if we wanted a kiosk that had, more information about the city of Trinidad, it should be at a monument, it
Not
should
leaving,
be.
but coming in.
Yeah, and it should be almost at a point of interest, is
Right.
where I
Point of
think would be
interest.
the more. So I don't think my personal opinion is that there were no kiosks that were in a point of interest, that were in a location, that were drawing in, tourism to Trinidad specifically. So do I make a motion to not advertise with these? Is
We're
that,
just talking
if
about
we
what
can,
you-
okay, more discussion, that's okay.
I guess at this point in the game, I'm not certain I have enough information. So I usually defer and let everybody else speak, and I'm gathering information, and I've looked at what we have here, so, as far as the kiosks, somebody said, I believe, my memory tells me, somebody said there's one out in Cokedale, is that right?
That's what-
I went looking for that the other day, where is that?
That was actually not even up yet.
My point, thank you. Okay.
Are they gonna-
I second
But
the
it's
motion.
not. So in your last packet, I identified each one of these kiosks where their location was, and there's a couple that are actually not expected to be erected until, I think it's in June.
Because it's a seasonal thing, or because it's new and they just haven't put it up
Yeah,
yet?
the project is just, isn't complete.
They used to have one in Cokedale when you took that one corner, it used to be
Right.
Right,
close.
right
So
where the
Judy's-
wall is, it's not in the little, let's call community of Cokedale, it's right there on Highway 12, correct?
The curve, right.
One of the most
So
important.
these are informational kiosks, and excuse me, Tom. So what they'll have on the front of them is heritage information, community information about that particular location. Judy Walden did a presentation to the city and city council. It's been,
Yeah, it was in January.
yeah, probably a few months ago. So she apprises the council on, the status, and there's just some that have not been erected yet. But they're beautiful kiosks. They have great information on them. A lot of historical information, heritage information. They're really nice. I believe there's 5 of them. Is that correct?
I believe it was.
Yeah, there's 5 of them.
And there's
And
5 altogether, and
there's
2
5
of them
altogether.
are up.
I don't think any of them are up.
Any of them are up.
No.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are up.
None.
Just to be clear,
And are they all leaving Trinidad, or is any of them approaching Trinidad?
Well, it depends on which way you're driving.
Well, the one
If
in
you're coming from that
Cokedale,
direction, then it's coming to Trinidad. If you're getting from this direction, then
They're
they're-
leaving.
they are positioned in different directions. So some of them might be facing the highway, some of them might be perpendicular to the highway so they can be seen from both sides. They are different.
So that's a good point, because if they're not up, we don't know if they're leaving or coming.
Right, so,
and there's not
there's
one in
no
there
money
yet.
spent on these. You're not
Okay.
spending any money on these.
It's just an approval to put, say, our,
It's just
Tourism
information
is-
saying that these locations, you had asked about this kiosk. This is just the information that I've given you about where the location of the kiosk will be, et cetera, et cetera. So you're not actually spending any money to place anything on these kiosks right now.
All right, clearly
So-
noted. Is there out at, exit 18, El Moro, is that kiosk in place yet?
No.
Okay, and has the city of Trinidad or the tourism board previously put up funding for these kiosks?
Yes,
City
the
of
one
Trinidad
out at,
has, yes.
the one
So
out
that
at
changes
exit
your
20.
conversation a bit. Tell me again.
The one out at exit 20, there's a kiosk on entering that the tourism board paid for a long time ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. But right after it was built, and they put information inside, but it was gonna be an unmanned center. I'm gonna say it was about 2010 that the tourism board did fund, signage out there.
And exit 20, this is the Honey exit?
That's it, right?
It's where the,
It's the only exit.
yeah,
It's an
Almora,
exit.
yeah. Where the restroom center is
Yeah,
outside of town.
that's exit
Right.
18.
Okay, 18 then.
Yes.
All right, that helps me. All right.
So the
Exit-
city did pay for the, so I think we should be on all of them. If we're
Well,
not
there,
paid.
there will be guidelines that you'll have to follow,
Mhm.
and I'm waiting for Judy Walden to tell us what those guidelines are.
You know, when she was here, because I'd like to ask her, you may already know, ongoing maintenance of these,
Mhm.
Is CDOT.
but the portion that,
Oh, the tourism board, well, yeah,
that would be a
that would be a
consideration for you guys to
consideration.
consider.
Yeah, good point.
To make sure that down the road that you may have some maintenance
Yeah.
dollars in some things. It may not be excessive, but be some.
Yeah, if we approve that, what you, Marty, you would have to look into that and find out if there's any.
Is there a deadline on this, Marty?
No, I don't think so, is there?
No, unless, I mean, unless somebody else is interested in those locations, you know, we might wanna get our foot in the door. So just wanted to keep this conversation
What
live
is-
so that she knows that we have an interest in case somebody else comes along and say, you know, we wanna put something on the back of your kiosk. We would, you know, let her know that the tourism board doesn't have interest.
Like to me, like the one on 18, like I would like to see the Welcome Center, something about the Welcome Center on that one.
That's a great point.
You know, because that's under us.
So people stop there.
Well, and then we would have southbound advertising.
Right?
Well, to circle back to, the
So,
mayor's
so that's
point,
an important one.
it's not so much who's maintaining the physical of the thing, although I would probably like to argue that if the tourism board put up that money back 8-10 years ago, we've got a certain amount of, rights to bear, at least on, at exit 18. My question then becomes, who physically goes to put things on that board, takes things off of that board on our behalf of what we're voting for? Is
Well,
that
it
something
depends on the
that falls?
guidelines that are set forth, so it might have to be something that's a permanent advertisement rather than flyer type thing,
Right,
you know,
right,
there's,
does
I'm
that
sure
fall
there's-
under the category of your, department?
To find out what the guidelines are?
No, to
No.
maintain that, to know that
Oh,
that's up
heck,
and running.
how many hats can one person wear? Just
It was a
so-
question,
I'm
it was a
kidding.
question.
Well, one of the things, if it's a permanent, I would like to see a picture of the Welcome Center. Please stop by.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's what we
Yeah.
wanna promote.
yeah.
This is where we're lacking people stopping into. So any opportunity that we have as to bringing people into the community, that's where we need to
That's-
direct the people to, is to the Welcome Center.
And that's great to say something like staffed every day, 8 to 4 or something, cause that place isn't staffed, so
Right.
people wanna go
There
talk
you
to
go.
people.
You know, so these are the things that we need to look at is that Welcome
And
Center.
that's a permanent
We
thing.
need to find ways to bring the volume of people up in the Welcome Center. That's got to be the goal. Or else they're gonna look at our funding again and they're gonna say, well, you can't even get out of the rut you're in. We need to find ways to get out of that rut. We need to promote that Welcome Center more.
And
If
would-
we want state health.
and would we do that consistently when it's out at Cokedale, when it's at El Moro, exit 18, hopefully down the road, when it's at the entrance or the exit of the state park on the south side of town? Do we want it consistently the same presentation, the same message, coinciding with what Tom just suggested?
You know, like my recommendation would be is to vote whether you wanna involve yourself in this, a yea or a nay, and then at a work session, determine the content.
Okay, would someone like to motion to or against, the kiosk advertising and marketing program?
I motion to make the kiosk advertising marketing a point of a work session, so we can decide determine how many and which ones we'd like to work on and create the content for, so that we can move forward and get that on there.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The shuttle program.
Ooh, this is neat.
Yay!
Okay, So I got a list of restaurants along with the participating restaurants that we've already had previous. I have crafted an email, although downstairs and email addresses were not available for every restaurant. So in this sense, I think my better talent here is to go out and be present and create some sort of paper flyer that will be presented to a restaurant owner. I do know a lot of the restaurant owners in town as well, so that gives me already an in of saying, hey, you know, I'm not just here to bother you with advertising like some people come to my restaurant and bother me with advertising. This is a person-to-person contact of saying this is what I value for what I'm trying to work on. But I wanted to go over my wording with everybody so that I'm not getting myself into a hole that I shouldn't get myself into. Am I okay to read the whole thing to you? Is that okay?
Sure,
Does that work?
absolutely.
Okay, it's not as short as we would want it to be, but good morning to all of you fellow restaurant busy bees. My name is Amanda Luttrell, granddaughter of Earl Hurley, and currently operating my family business, Bob and Earl's Cafe. I have taken on a new endeavor, that of being a member of the Trinidad Tourism Board. In this position, I am learning about our city and how our tourism not only positively affects our business, but our growth and promise for the future. I am emailing you with a proposition that would showcase your business within the realm of the summer Friday, Saturday evening trolley. This program was started last summer and allowed for the tourists staying within the participating Trinidad hotels to be shuttled within our historic downtown district. And anything you notice that is not correct, please say so that I can change it. From 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday evenings, our trolley was able to provide a safe and unique ride to those wanting to sample the offerings of our hardworking businesswomen and men of downtown Trinidad. I myself caught the trolley outside of Reno's last summer and was escorted in a delightfully old-fashioned way to my next stop. It was whimsical and unique and such a memorable part of my summer experience. Our intention this summer is to again offer a service to the tourists of Trinidad that is efficient, historical, and safe. This summer, I would ask that participating restaurants offered a sort of enticement for the tourists of Trinidad that will draw them into your business. In exchange for a coupon, these Friday and Saturday night riders, the Tourism Board is willing to trade for 30-second ads on the local KCRT radio station for the months of June and July. See, and that's where my question is it June and July? Where do we want to put those ads? How many? As a board, our goal is to promote tourism in the city of Trinidad and provide a platform that draws new and previous visitors to view our quirky little town as a tourist destination year after year. If possible, I would like to maybe get a number of riders from last year if you have access to that information, so I can hit them with some stats and hit them with some. This is actually how many people it drew just last year. I also have looked up a couple other, and this would be a speaking platform for me more than just on the flyer, that I've been looking into cities that do provide a trolley in town. A lot of them target it more towards like a beer crawl or restaurant sampling, and that is something I can see happening in the far future, but just for now, just to kind of allow these participating restaurants to offer something to say, hey, pick my restaurant over this restaurant. It's kind of a fun competition, I guess, for them to be the ones that they pick. If you're interested in offering some sort of coupon, percentage off for riders, a buy one get one, or any sort of special to these riders in exchange for a free ad, please email me at Luttrell. As a fellow restaurant operator, I encourage you to participate in this opportunity to expand our options as a tourist destination. I look forward to working with you closely as a tourism board member and fellow restaurant operator for years to come.
I have a question.
Good job.
That is a very good job.
Thanks, okay.
Okay, so the coupon, for them to give us a coupon to get advertising. How about just giving us a coupon, because that's gonna be advertising for them by getting those people there saying, a group of 4 saying, hey, we got a little coupon here, let's go to that particular place. That's really advertising for them.
It's true, but when we discussed last year, when we were talking about giving up ads for grants.
I'm all for the apps, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I am for that.
I just, as a business operator as well, I almost think it should be, it is free advertisement for them, but the trolley flyer in itself is advertisement for them, and so this is just another, I don't know, it's hard to,
I get you.
it's hard to get people to want to give out free things for their small business, and I totally understand that as being, you know, I get asked a lot, what can you offer? We did the cancer run last year. We just handed out little coupons that said free piece of pie with any purchase of an entree. And because we were already included in the flyer, that was free advertisement for us. But it also, I've seen people, you know, still coming in with those coupons just in the last month that are bringing things in. So I think it has to be more than just.
Well, it's something we haven't
And I
tried
think-
so on,
yeah.
in
I
Detroit.
think another thing too is a lot of businesses and a lot of people like, what's in it for me?
Exactly.
So that's your buy-in.
That's my buy-in, is that,
So-
hey, there's this
so
other thing I can
agree
kind
with
of
you.
offer there.
I like the buy-in, you know,
Okay.
so.
Now, what numbers should we be off? Cause I don't know, based on the KCRT amount of ads that we have every
Every
month,
month.
we have how many per month?
Yeah.
I just had it.
It ups in the summertime,
It ups
so
in
there
the
is
summer.
more, advertising in the summer.
But that being
110.
said, you can also
Move things around.
Move,
fudge those numbers around. So if
Okay.
you wanna take some of those 30-second spots from January and
Right.
move them into the summer
Sure.
months,
So
you
we could-
can.
we could
They're
do
not,
It's
they're
like
not
our
set in
budget, we can
stone.
move things.
We could
and
move
then,
the ads
and
too.
then another,
Okay.
and then another thing too is if, when we look at the Chronicle News's buy-in plan, there's also other things there.
Mhm,
You know,
absolutely.
So you have a combination of things.
Okay. And I don't know who all's going to go for it, but this was the platform that Scott had suggested to make sure that everybody's playing fair, that I offer it up to all participating restaurants and not leave anybody behind or out. I don't know who's going to be interested. Another thing I thought about, these places get slammed in the summertime as it is. You know what I mean? They see Bella Luna, for example, business on a Friday and Saturday night. As a customer myself, I can't even get in. You know what I mean? Most of the time. So I want to make this just something that's going to be a benefit for everybody rather than overkill and making it to where they can't. You know, and Earl and I talk about all the time. If you offer up all of these different ways for people to get there, but then you can't see them all, you're kind of screwing yourself, you know? So this is I don't know, I wanted to open it up to see if anybody had any suggestions, if you think, you know, and maybe what we could do is trade off for the slow months advertising. Hey, we're willing to advertise for you from November until January, which is the
It's a great idea,
Right.
right? Because I'm trying to rotate that into me, and like people
And our
want
hope,
everything really cheap in the summer,
Mhm.
but that's the time I'm making money.
yes, that's right.
And March is when I'm making money.
Yeah.
So I hate to give anything out free because I'm gonna be sold out no matter what.
Totally.
You know, it's only really if it's critical to.
And we know the restaurants are busy downtown, and it really was, to bring people downtown in case they have that drink so they don't have to drive back home.
And I think
It
that's safe
wasn't-
things.
Yes, and
Yeah,
that was one of the prime reasons we wanted to get people down to town, to have them have a ride back, because in my store, I have a lot of people call and say, I couldn't get from the hotel downtown.
So I think what you have as a combination sounds really great to me. What you're doing is great. I think moving that though, that we will advertise for you in the fall after the, you know, your busy season is a wonderful little extra note there.
Right.
well, we have options.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah,
And we can leave it up to them
Right,
to
we have-
carve out what
yeah,
they
Right,
want.
we have options to
Right.
sell. One of the things is, I don't know if it's true, but is the Holiday and Restaurant closing?
Yes, tonight.
So, see, that's gonna be a big
Mhm.
thing into play.
People are gonna wanna come
Cause they're,
downtown.
and I think that's
They're
gonna
gonna
help,
have to.
that's
They
gonna
won't have
help
anywhere
the
else to
trolley.
go, I guess.
Well, and I heard two things. I heard that it was closing to the public, but it would be open to guests.
No.
Okay, so this
No.
is
No.
just because I talked to the people that were making the decision. They close as of May 1st. They will have a Continental breakfast bar,
Okay,
but they will not have a bar or a restaurant.
gotcha.
One of the.
My question is our trolley, okay? Our trolley runs daily to bring people on little guided tours.
Right.
What time is the last trolley and what time do they get back?
The last trolley, they get back at 6 o'clock.
So then they start the motels. So in other words, guys, our trolley will not be running to the hotels at 5 o'clock at night to pick these people up. They don't start until 6. That's a huge, maybe problem?
No, it
Is
wasn't
it
last year.
It wasn't last year?
It wasn't last year.
Okay, alright.
If there wasn't, I mean, he did his drive, his pickup, and he dropped them off, and then he went and did dinner,
Right.
so that, he had that break before.
Is there people on that last trolley ride at 5 o'clock? Do they know?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes.
Because
We
if there
could
wasn't-
change the trolley schedule. We could
Yeah.
change the trolley schedule
so-
to stop at 4.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And keep, and.
Our
that's
last,
our
our last
time.
trolley
It's
ride
at
will be
four,
at 4
4
and
o'clock.
5
That
o'clock
gives
to
your trolley
start.
driver an hour's break before he starts his evening run.
Right.
That's an option. You can change
And
those
you
hours.
could, and you probably know more how many riders are on that 4 o'clock
We,
from
exactly.
your stats.
We always
you know.
do. So,
Yeah, so
they
you're
have
gonna
a
know.
trolley log that they log for
Mhm.
every trip that they
And-
make every day.
Right.
So that log says, at 1 o'clock, I stopped at here, I picked up X amount of passengers, I dropped them off here at whatever location, so everything is logged.
So that's a
for
good indicator for
every
you
ride.
what's happening at 4.
Yeah.
You know,
So
so.
Amanda, that being said, if you could take a minute or two to stop by the Welcome Center, we'll go through those shuttle logs.
Maybe we could do that today, after.
Absolutely.
That's great.
They'll be there anyway.
And with this whole program, I can't tell you how important it is that we develop some sort of sandwich boards that say the trolley times that the front desk people can take out and put, because there's not enough of them in busy seasons to say, oh, by the way, if you want dinner, the trolley runs here, next person. Oh, and by the way, it would be easier to have a sandwich board. We do that for the farmer's market on Saturday mornings at the hotels. We put our sandwich board out, and it really helps
Oh, yeah.
people coming from out of town.
I can't believe
And
how
so-
many people mention that sandwich board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll look into the cost of those.
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the final number on that once we determine how many
Hotels are willing
restaurants or
to
how
do it.
hotels are participating. So this is a work in progress.
I do,
Yes.
I have
Work in
3.
progress.
And,
I didn't,
and it's March, so we've got a little bit of time, not
Just
enough
a
time
little.
to lax,
Just a
but,
little.
so I'll get on this. I do also want to, cause it does come down Santa Fe Trail, so I intend on going to the bowling alley as well, and offering that up as a stop. And Scott's Place, the coffee shop too, I don't know if you're open that late, but, I don't know if
I'd
you are.
like to table my response there and say not only the bowling alley, but also the golf course.
The golf course as well.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's
That's
good.
what I was
Thank
gonna
you.
say.
Because those are destination
yeah, that's
things.
a great idea.
And they have food there as well.
Yeah, that's a great
Actually,
idea.
you can get off on, what is that? That would be exit 14? Or would it be
12.
exit
No,
12?
it's
Oh, no.
It's 12
Exit
at the golf
12,
course.
You can actually get on
They
there,
have
stop at
your-
the golf course, and then go to the bowling alley and then down Santa Fe
Yeah,
Trail.
there was a different route next year,
Right.
but this is a different year, you can
Yeah.
develop a new route.
To
that
be able
would've
to include
changed
that.
right? That would change the map and every, or it
Oh,
could
yeah.
change the map, but this is, okay.
It's a work in progress, we can change the map, we can change the icons, we can change the times, you can change
So,
everything.
just to clarify, cause that's a big program, so based on who you're talking about and what you're hearing here, are you gonna try to design a route and then
And-
give it to Marty and see how that
And
works?
we have to be very cautious how long this route is gonna take,
Yeah,
guys, because if it takes 2 hours to go on one route,
I
you know,
think-
I think
it's
too- I think they-
gonna be very hard.
I think you had timed it, didn't you?
Well, not necessarily, if
Marty?
you put up on your sandwich boards that the trolley is leaving or will be picking up passengers at a certain time, then they'll be cognizant to say, well, it only arrives here every 2 hours versus last year it was every on the hour.
Wow.
So it could be 2 hours, you spend
So-
2 hours downtown.
Oh, you can.
Yeah,
Really.
you can.
Or 2 hours at the golf course, or
Or-
2 hours at the bowling alley,
Yeah.
or, yeah,
Does the
okay.
golf course have a restaurant?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a bar.
Okay.
They used to, I don't know if it's still on.
Yeah,
I don't think the restaurant is
I don't
right
think
now.
they have a restaurant, you guys.
They have a bar right now, but there isn't a restaurant
There
operating.
isn't a
right now.
restaurant.
So it's not operating, but they have the facilities.
Yeah, and they do catering there.
Yeah, so
for
they're
events.
not.
They are
artists.
serving, they do serve food in the summertime, I think.
Doesn't Shelley do, I thought it's been about 4 or 5 months that I was there, not that long ago, but, but I thought Shelley had like burritos or something.
Yeah, she was
But
working at
it's
the
just
golf
not a
course.
restaurant,
Okay, yeah.
it's not a restaurant,
Sure.
it's just,
So
it's
there's
not a
no-
restaurant where you could go in and have a sit-down meal, you could buy a burrito, but at the bar, but they don't have a restaurant.
Well, she can find out what
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah,
have
well-
a
What
restaurant,
they-
because
what
that
they
is
are
defeating the
offering.
purpose of.
And
shopping
you
at
let
the
us
golf
know
cart.
it all.
I will, I will
It's
very
such
hard
a
on this.
wonderful thing, it's a really a hard-working program that you're putting together, and we really appreciate what you're doing, cause it really is gonna take a lot.
And I have another thing, stopping at the bowling alley, they don't have a restaurant there, you guys, they might wanna go bowling there, but
Yeah.
they don't have a restaurant to go eat there. And where is that line we drawn, to activities, or we're drawing to restaurants and bars?
Or just getting out of the hotel and making sure you can visit all of the things that, my thing is that it should visit all the places that Trinidad has to offer.
There you go.
Or encapsulate some sort of route that offers something for everybody. If you don't drink, great, you can go here and not have to worry about being in a bar setting. If you want to, if you've already eaten, a tequilas for dinner and you wanna just go bowl for the rest of the night with your family, we'll offer you a platform there too. So that's my lens, I guess.
Once you get off on Main Street, you're gonna be able to go to a restaurant wherever you want. If an art gallery's open, say Friday nights, you can stay and do that, so.
So I would say at this moment, since this is a regular meeting, that Amanda doing a wonderful job of putting this shuttle program
Yes,
together
yes.
to bring it to us during the work session, and we can kick out the rest of the kinks to it.
Okay, great.
Is that good?
Yep, that works.
And on that note, our merchants are planning on staying open because they're gonna go back from first Fridays, they're gonna go back to last Fridays like we originally always had it on. So they're gonna try to stay open June, July, and August, Friday and Saturday night. So
So
they're
it'll be
gonna call it
last-
the last Friday, and then the blues will be the next night, so they're gonna try to utilize those 2 nights, especially with the trolley, to be open late at night. Okay, at least until 8, 9 o'clock at night. We're having our first meeting again, so.
And what will the trolley plan be during the Blues Fest? Or the Nights of the Blues?
We don't know anything.
We haven't
about
developed that
We
yet.
haven't
Okay.
gone that far yet.
Adventure Outdoors, ad development, new business.
Okay, so this is only for your review, and no action needs to be taken. My recommendation is that you take a peek at the, information in your packet, and the ad that I printed is the last page of your packet. This is last year's advertising, so please review this information. We'll be developing an ad, and I believe it is, the final ad date is, submission deadline is April the 2nd, so,
So do you want somebody to work with you on this ad, or?
just recommendations, what do you wanna see? I can develop the ad
That's a
and the
good thing.
content,
So-
whatever.
Since this is, what magazine is this one?
Adventure Outdoors, you
Adventure
can pass that
Outdoors.
along, it's tabbed. So if the board will take this home, review it, look at the, information in your packet as far as what you actually get. We've already committed to this,
Right.
dollars are already encumbered, so,
Maybe the state park should be more, and that, we can work on that. That's
Yes.
just my
Is there-
first thought,
is
that
there
it should
so
be
I'll
more-
put this on the work session agenda,
Yes.
and we'll,
Is there anything out that they plan on doing with the
Fish
park?
Creek? Oh, yeah, as a matter of fact, they're currently working on a soft opening this summer. Crystal Dryling from the state park is kind of one of the people that's heading this up. And I've had conversations with her, and,
hopefully we'll be able to get something done. They're talking about, the governor wanted something done by June. Whether or not it'll happen in June, we don't know at this point in time, but it's really pushing it, they're pushing it pretty hard. The big thing is just, we just don't know what kind of activity we're gonna get with the soft opening. There's some other issues, with trying to get in and out of the park, egress, ingress, that type of stuff, so. These are things that but there is some activity on that, trying to get something done, so.
What's the deadline on this, Marty?
April the 2nd is when I
April
have to
2nd.
submit the ad and
Do
the
you
content.
think, I think the best thing about this would be an ad about Fisher's Peak and what could possibly be upcoming.
So
and
you guys
just-
just, take this home, think about it.
Okay.
At the work
Okay.
session, you deliver to me what you want this ad to look like, and I've got a week and a half to develop it.
And you said April,
April 2nd,
And the next work session is March 25th.
yes.
Okay.
Mayor, is there any other information, they talked about, maybe having the initial area where you would enter out where that cabin is? Or are they talking about maybe where the governor christened it? I heard.
There's no determination at this point in
Okay.
time, they're still looking into
Yeah.
it, but that's the discussion they're having right now. This is the best place to have open. Are we gonna open 2 miles of trails, are we gonna open 10 miles of trails? We just don't.
Okay, Chronicle News contract.
The last action the board took was to extend the contract with the Chronicle News, to continue the Facebook management for an additional 3 months. That expired the 1st of March, so the board needs to, either continue the contract, extend the contract for however long, or to,
So a motion would need to be made to
Yes.
continue it on a monthly basis, or again for 3 months, or for an additional period of time. How does everybody feel about that?
The Facebook thing, I think. What's the price, is there a price difference on month to month versus 3 month versus?
no.
Then I think month to month is the best way for us to make sure it's still being utilized, or used correctly. I don't know, I had mentioned something about this, making sure Kirk was including us in just more, I don't know what I'm saying. Give me just a second.
activities.
More
Well,
buying
talking
from the
about
tourism board on what is posted.
Right.
Correct.
While you
Yes.
gather your thoughts
Same.
there, and you have a moment, do we want to look at a transition where we're going from our print to more of an online presentation and use this as an opportunity to do that? Is kind of what I want to put out there. Whether that's our website that Christy Rogers is doing, or is this with our Facebook, or even with some Google advertising going forward also? So that's kind of an open-ended question that says, do we want to look at that?
How do
in a
you feel about
transition?
it, Scott? How do you feel about it?
Knowing what I know now, which is very limited, haven't been here that long, I feel there's a certain amount of, we wanna support the Chronicle News, just like we do the Where for No Journal, and do that in a transitionary period. And then have a look at with analytics that says, oh, hold on a minute, you thought everybody's gone online, but really, there is a certain amount of the population that does look at the published, so then maybe we wanna continue to support that. If the analytics, if the statistics say, it's dead in the water, well then, that's probably why the Chronicle News is moving more towards radio. From their business standpoint, that's where their survivability is, so maybe we wanna follow that aspect.
Scott, may I interrupt for just a moment?
I'm done, so go ahead.
Just to clarify something.
Yeah.
So, the Facebook page was in existence for the tourism board.
Yeah.
It wasn't being populated because there wasn't a staff member. Actually, it was being managed at the time by our development services director, who actually moved on.
Mhm.
So it left it stagnant. We couldn't get in it. There was nobody managing our Facebook. So Cy had administrative privileges, but she couldn't get in there to do anything. When I came on board, I was able to take the time to populate the Facebook. I didn't have the access to it, so we finally got access to it, and so Marty and Cy would get on there occasionally and post something on Facebook, and she's like, okay, I've got a minute, I'm gonna see if I can post something on Facebook. Neither one of us had the time to actually do this, and so what we did was we approached, the board approached the Chronicle News and said, hey, can you manage our Facebook for us? And so we handed it over and said, can you populate our Facebook for us? So that's kind of what it is. It's not an advertising medium that the Chronicle News is using for us. It kind of belongs to us, but we needed a manager, and so we said, do it for us.
I follow what you're saying, and I'd just like to clarify that, do we use the written or the publication portion to direct our audience towards our online presence? That was kind of my point.
So instead of making the posts that the Chronicle's putting on there for us right now, we want something else? I'm not following, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, what I would like to see is maybe, some of us, or, cause I see the Chronicle News posting on Facebook.
Right.
And I would like to see a little bit more of our input to Marty, give it to Marty so you could post it too. Because, you know, we are paying them money, and I do see their ads pop up on Facebook. But I think maybe a little bit more, we need I don't know, I'd have to think about this too a little bit. But I'd have to think about, but I see what they're doing. If no one sees, if you're not looking at Facebook and if you're not seeing that pop up, I do see it popping up when things or events coming up.
What I'd like to see a little bit more on that Facebook is, things about Trinidad, not just news stories. I would like to see like Kit Carson Park, I'd like to see
The
golf course, I'd like to see Monument Lake, I'd like to see.
So I had that conversation with Kurt, and I says, it's more of a, you're taking the ads that somebody's putting in the Chronicle and you're posting them on
Right.
Facebook. I said, that's not exactly what we
That's
want. I
what
said,
I'm
it's
trying
not
to say.
tourism
Right.
related. I says, I'd like to say, you know, go to the History
There
Museum,
you go.
this week they've got something going on at the History
Or
Museum.
even-
Go see Kit Carson's coat or something like that, or go to the golf course and you
There you
know,
go.
take a,
This-
do
that's-
a
that's- we have one.
9 holes of golf at the golf.
That's what
So
that-
I did send him that email, and I'll share that with you.
Mhm.
And I gave him a bunch of ideas. I also sent him to look at the Pueblo, Colorado Facebook. They do that very, very thing.
Yeah, and that's what I
They're
want.
sending people to their tourism attractions in town rather than posting ads about an event in town, which is not a bad thing,
No.
but it's like that's all it is.
That's
So-
all
See-
we're doing.
See, and this is,
Right.
I don't wanna create an avenue for anybody, I want our avenue to be published. I want Main Street, I want what's going on down Main Street.
Right.
We have a lot of shops downtown.
Yep.
And I'd like to see that, I'd like to see the parks, you know, and even like there was, I think, one of the city council members, they brought a picture of a fish that was caught in that river.
Yeah.
Things like that, you know,
Yeah.
we want people to see, hey, there is things happening there.
Exactly.
We-
So I will share that
we-
email with
we
you so
want-
that,
Because
To
I
show
know
you
we're
the
paying him money, but
suggestions.
it is
Yeah.
literally just
I'm
his,
sorry,
what
how
he
did
stuff
that
in the
react with
Chronicle
the
News.
email that
he said it was actually, he says, I understand what you mean now, yes, I'll try and do that.
Do they
So-
still have the bikes in town to get you? 'Cause
There's no bikes on them yet, the stands are there, but there's no
They're-
bikes right now.
Seeing it and coming into spring now, things like that, the trolley coming out and more things about going on in Trinidad.
Entertainment things to do.
Even an upcoming schedule of, the bands that play.
Mhm.
You know, those are the things that you want people in these motels to see it, or coming off the highway now.
Art okay, coal mine.
Okay, the other day, there was a group of people that came, they're doing that slow ride with their bicycles. They did their first ride yesterday. That's what I would like to see on our Facebook page.
So
I
the
really would.
question I think is that, are we giving them enough of this information? If we have all of these ideas and if this is what we wanna see, then we should be leading that charge. We should be,
Right.
we should
Right.
be the ones who are giving giving the information to be posted, or taking the pictures and coming up with the great ideas for the post. But in that sense, then hell, we're doing half of it, so then, you know what I mean? So then it
Right.
should just be us that's posting in the first place. But do we have the time for that? So I guess, what's the answer? How are we?
Well, I follow you exactly right. The question is if we're using them
Mhm.
to manage this thing for us,
Right.
and we're compensating them,
Mhm.
are we getting that?
Right.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, the email that I sent was that we needed to do more tourism-related Facebook posts. So he said, what did you have in mind? I said, restaurant specials or entertainment, information about museums or events they might be having, promoting businesses. Take a peek at the Pueblo Facebook, they usually do a great job. Not that you're not, I just think we need to focus a little. The Tura ad, the Trinidad Police Department Business Watch, and the child screening are not tourism promotions that we want to see on there. These belong on the City of Trinidad's Facebook page. Let's get the Green Show reception at the gallery up, the Slim Pickens party at Bricks, other events upcoming including the flea market at the gallery, bingo at Mount Carmel, movie nights at the library, St. Patrick's Day parade, spring craft show at the Elks, Noah's Ark fur ball at the Mitch, the Trinidad Music Association spring concert, SCRT performances, Armed Forces Day parade, Heritage Nights, triggers, baseball, TSJC. Things I've seen in this Chronicle News we could get up would be photos like Pam Kenton's of the Church of Tony's Lenten, what is it here? Oh, Zion's Lutheran Church. There was a really pretty photo of Zion's Lutheran Church that was up. I said there's so much that we could use on the website. It's just the content. Can you give me some topics for the content that we're looking for? So he's actually asking us to send him ideas for content,
that's great.
which I did.
Yeah,
Good.
great.
So we'll see how that goes.
Right.
Give 30 days.
Sorry, what was the date of that?
Okay.
That was on,
So we are signed up until April 1st, is that what I'm
I sent it
understanding, or-
on March the 3rd.
March 1st we expired.
So
we need to
so
renew
certainly
that.
not long
That's the
ago, and he
question.
needs time to respond to that.
Right,
So
so
can
what
we-
he said was, that it is, that was his response.
So if we could, I make a motion that we go for 3 more months, but for you to also send that as to these are the things that we want.
So give him more ideas.
Give her more
or-
ideas. Can
Sure.
you post
Even
and can
Southside
I
Parks.
post?
Sign, I can post.
So now
those.
you're gonna post and Tommy could post.
And as
Even-
board
even-
members, we should be a part of that too, so if we have,
You
if
can
we
have
ourselves.
multiple, I don't know how many, I don't think there's even a limit to it.
Administrators?
There's only a limited administration, there's not.
Because I
Yeah.
would've reposted that bicycle theme on our Facebook page, I really would've.
Well,
It was a
Send
great
it to
picture.
me.
Go ahead,
I could
Molly.
send it to you, or I'll tag you in it.
Is there like a criteria of what you expect from them for
Yes.
management of the site?
Tourism related events
Related,
and.
and
But is there like a regard of like how many posts you expect out of them in a week?
Yes.
And what does that look like?
I'll have to pull up the contract again to be specific.
Okay.
Maybe at the next work session, you could bring that contract
I-
on the agenda and we could discuss it a little further on exactly how, not only our part as board members or, assign somebody every other week to be in charge of the post that week or in charge of sending the content of the post to you or to Kirk, so that we can get a little bit more of, if we want to see these things in the Facebook, we can't complain that they're not in there if we're not doing the
We're
part
not
to send it.
looking. Right.
A couple notes that I would like to give are, first of all, I'd like to see them added as an administrator. They're just adding as you right now.
Right.
And so it makes it hard for those of us that are administrators on the page to see who is actually making what posts as opposed to not. I'd also like to encourage them to actually put more text with their posts, specifically things that ask for reactions from people that are on the page, like here's this Youth Fridays thing, like have you been teaching your kids to cook, like something that inspires some sort of reaction from them.
Call to action.
And just writing anything will add a little bit to the algorithm to make it so more people view it. But specifically, if you can get something that causes people to
Feedback.
also post on it, then that
That would
would
be our
be
feedback.
Yeah.
Feedback. Sometimes you get very negative feedback too, and I don't wanna start that open conversation.
I would
I'm never
note
gonna
on that
negative.
try and put it in a way where
Yeah,
you're
because then you
framing
start
it.
getting people that make the negative comments, and we don't
So,
wanna go in that
That
direction.
being said, are we gonna table this? I mean, the contract was up March the first, so.
I think what I'm
that-
hearing is that we either do a monthly to monthly or 3 months and tell them the
Give 'em more
criteria.
direction.
Give them more direction.
I think 3 months with more direction sounds like
Yeah.
the right move to make. So I second that we continue with Chronicle News for Facebook for the next 3 months. At the next work session, we will look at the contract so we can go over expectations, so we understand what to give them as what we expect.
And I will text you on some of those that I think.
And to be fair,
Kelly,
we wanna ask Kurt to, as Wally indicated, have them go back and look at the guidelines of, hey, this is what we were expecting, or we would like to see, shine your shoes kind of thing.
So Amanda, were you the
So-
second?
I was the
You
motion.
were the motion, do I have
I'll
a
second
second?
that.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, board reports. Anybody have any other reports they would like to come forward with?
No reports, we talked about this a while ago, and it's not anything to discuss. I just found out my term is 2 years. I don't know if you got the thing in the
Yes.
mail, so just so we know, they always ask if it was 1 or 2 or 3, and it's 2 for me. Same for you? Okay, cool.
And,
And sometimes when you take over somebody's, then you're one. It's
Oh, I
just,
get it.
you know
Okay.
what I mean?
and how long is Tom on the hook for now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Based on today's meeting?
We do,
That's
yeah.
You
we
have
vote
one more
to-
year.
One more year is
No,
fine.
I'm sorry, I meant with
With
the
the
now,
chair.
with the
Chair.
chair position, that's what I meant.
Is that an annual
Yeah.
thing?
It's an annual, okay. And, that's it.
Okay. Photo contest.
Staff report, is there anything you
Staff
haven't
report.
reported?
Yes, I need to report that you have new, pads been ordered for you.
Yay.
So, got that done yesterday. Don't know when they'll arrive, but you'll have them when we get them. Photo contest, the photo contest ended the end of February. We had 5 entries.
Wow. And
last
how
time we
many,
had
how many
really-
entries with those 5 people or 5 entries?
5 people
Submitted,
entered,
how many photos?
40 photos total.
Okay.
40
So how do we
photos.
move forward with that? Is that
40
something
photos
we
total.
take
So,
a look at and?
Somebody needs to judge these photos in this contest. I don't know how it's done previously. Did the board ask?
We had a table and we all looked at them. And we
Okay,
just,
so is that something you wanna do at the work session?
Yes.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
important that everybody's in.
I think they printed them out, I believe they
Yep.
printed them out, and we go through those.
And we should
And we
make
might
that,
keep them all, I'm just,
Yeah,
sure, and make that a pretty quick turnaround, cause if the contest ended on the 29th of February.
We need to make an
we need to get
announcement
the-
soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So do you wanna wait for the work session, or you wanna call us back, like, next week, next Wednesday you have your Buxton review,
Yeah.
so you can't do it, you wanna do it after that meeting?
Right, that would be a perfect time.
after the meeting of
After the
Buxton.
Buxton meeting, then the photos are
It ends
out,
at
we're
3,
all-
so you have
What time does it start on?
12:30.
Okay.
So you wanna do it
Is
at
that
that
next
work
Wednesday?
session? That's next Wednesday.
ma'am.
I got 3 minutes.
After, or we could do it before?
Or you can do it before.
Yeah, like maybe
Working
11:30.
At 11:30, give us an hour to go through and
Yeah,
make
11:30.
decisions. And then that gives us
That's
timeline.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
right, 11:30.
11:30? I'll have to post an agenda for that, cause you're
Okay.
meeting.
Where are we on those, tourism shirts? that
Okay, so you,
You and
at
I,
the, right, so there are a few left, at the Welcome Center. I ordered a few extras in case I got people that came on as new volunteers,
Mhm.
or, so is it the board's desire to order more of those neon green tourism shirts, so that there was discussion originally to order enough to give to the hotels and to restaurants and to.
To anybody
And then
that would wear
and
them.
then it kinda
Okay,
kinda
yeah.
got pared down because of the expense,
Yeah.
and so I don't know, so Scott's request was, could he have shirts, polos for his staff?
well, hold on now, hold
Well-
on now. I understand that that's the way you heard that message,
Okay.
but that was not mine. I heard that there was shirts that were available that people could wear, and I thought, well, geez, that, you know, my little coffee stand very well could end up being almost a little bit of a welcome center, in that people come down Santa Fe Trail, they see that, there's a bulletin board, they, you know, I have no problem personally with staff wearing things for the
Promote the
trend,
city.
to promote the city, thank you very much.
Right.
But economically, I'm not begging for that, that's what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying,
So
the request
how many-
was there shirts available for your staff?
We had bought shirts for the staff at the Welcome Center.
For the
Okay.
staff,
Yeah.
for the tourism board, and for the volunteers?
Volunteers, yes, yes, yes.
Right.
That's what I meant, the volunteers.
And are
the
there
staff.
any shirts left?
There's about 4 women's, I think I sent you what was left, how
And
much the count was.
One
I think
extra
there's like
large and a couple smalls.
4
or
women's
mediums.
and a couple
And
men's.
I cheerlead Scott for any businesses that want to wear those. I don't know how we wanna handle
Yeah.
that, but,
I'm not gonna, personally, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
wear them, so.
yeah, but not me myself, but I mean, my front desk wearing a shirt obviously would encourage people to come downtown and do it. So I mean, if I bought them myself, I should probably still, I mean, I would still buy them myself, and maybe I need to find out what that is and purchase them myself, because I do think that that's a huge draw for people waiting in lines, you know.
How many shirts did you buy when you did buy them?
I think we got 100,
Do you remember what the cost was?
not off the top of my head, Tom.
Cause I
But
think
I can send you that information
that
if
would,
you like.
that would
I think it was
kinda,
like 3,000, 2,500.
yeah, I think that would kinda put a burden on.
I've been looking at, restaurant uniforms and things like that. What I would throw out as a possibility is a dark apron. That could have that on that. Sometimes people are more comfortable to wear that. Also, something that's a short sleeve button down. I'm hesitant to say this, but it's almost like a bowling shirt, but please don't visualize. Just, I don't know what you call that, you know, what the old used to wear in a gas station, the
Sure,
mechanics.
this is kinda like a
Football
ball shirt.
shirt.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah.
Well, these
Yeah.
are polos, so
Thanks,
they
And
have
you
a,
actually,
They have a pole.
you actually can get those for a $10 bill, actually,
Yeah.
if you're buying volume.
these are cotton polos, so they're short sleeve.
And then that's
have
the
the
shirt,
button
and then the
front.
cost of the embroidery, and there's a couple places locally that do that, so it does open a bit of a can of worms. I just wanted to present that because Marty and I had some conversations about it, and that may be something we wanna look into,
I think
or not.
one of the things to look at it is when Amanda gets this package together of the restaurants, of the participants, and then look at the cost. I could see the cost is gonna be kinda high if we have a lot of restaurants. And do we wanna spend that kind of money?
That might be a conversation then you can have at the next work session
Yeah.
as well.
All right.
I
So,
agree.
can I move on to website analytics? At I was directed last meeting to look into website analytics upgrade. Scott, I think that was your request.
Mhm.
What would it cost us to upgrade our analytics program? And it's $99.
Okay. Is that $99 a month, $99 a year?
Just for us to have a better scope on,
For better analytics, top grade analytics for Monster Insights, which is what is that's our website.
okay.
And again, this is tying in with, Christie's presentation, and
Right. So I would need a motion
So,
to
yeah, so
move
do
forward
we
with
have
that
a
upgrade?
motion to move forward with the $99 for the analytics?
I don't know if you could really do that at this point, because it's only in staff reports. You gotta be careful when
Yeah,
you place some of
thanks,
these agenda
thanks.
items.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So that would go to a work session?
Well, actually, I have a X amount of dollars in my
Oh, yeah.
discretionary
Yeah,
fund
that's right, I
to
do have a
move
discretion,
forward
yes.
with, purchases under $2,000 that was passed by the board,
Mhm.
so I could actually make that purchase with your direction.
now with caution, again, I just wanna understand is, that I'm an advocate of these analytics. Nothing's gonna allow us to make better decisions than to have this information. The administrative part of this is, does it fit into our, tourism board's agreement with Christie Rogers? Should it be part of that funding? In other words, I'm looking at this from a line item rather than to use your discretionary. And then are we going later on to that
Exactly.
discretionary and sliding it over and it becomes a whole maintenance quagmire?
It would fall under website.
So it should stay on their website and not be discretionary.
Right, but as far as making an administrative decision on it, it doesn't have to be a vote by the board. There is an X amount of dollars that can be used under that line item.
So to
To
do
purchase
the
this.
background there, it became a conundrum for the board at times when Marty was supposed to do something and we were gonna have a work session and then a regular meeting in the following 2 to 3, 4 weeks as it plays out. So the board had approved a year ago for Marty to have discretionary income, so in case it was last minute, oh my gosh, there's this going on and we're gonna miss out on all of it if we don't spend $250 for advertising, that she would be able to do it without waiting 6 weeks, cause we were losing out on some things.
I understand that. Okay, all right,
Does that make sense?
absolutely.
Okay, so is that the direction you'd like me to go?
So with that, is that the direction, is everybody in for the $99 to get more analytics?
Okay?
Yeah.
And the last thing I have to report is our Craft 101, grant has been, our grant report has been submitted, hallelujah. Finally finished it, and it's been submitted and it's been accepted, and so we
That
are.
is such good news.
We are
Elizabeth,
done.
I can talk to you again.
We are done.
Awesome.
We did good.
Good.
I finally got it submitted.
So to recoup that, the board received $10,000. And with that, some reports needed to be made, we had to jump through some things, and one of them was with Buxton, and that report had to be completed, and the state was a little nervous because of our timeline, and Marty got it in on time, which was really great. And so the $10,000 is not a question, we get to keep it.
Yeah, so we don't have egg on our face
Yeah,
anymore. We're all
okay,
good.
we're good. Okay,
Thank you, Marty.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Next meeting is next week at 11:30 now. We will do the photo contest, and at 12:30 we will do our meeting with Buxton.
Is there anything else we need to bring for anything to make sure tablets or treat it like normal
That's
work
a
session?
good point.
No, we're going to bring the big screen in here that we used in the other room. Or is that, am I talking about the right thing? For the
Yes,
Buxton
yes.
presentation?
What it'll look
We'll
like
bring the
will
big
be the-
screen in here. We can also put it up on the small screens as well. You don't need your tablets.
Okay.
So we're only covering those 2 items,
Yes.
unless something changes.
Unless something changes.
Frickson is gonna be enough.
Well, there are a
Thank you for
couple
all
things that
your
you already
input.
mentioned that you
Yeah.
wanted at the next work session, so that's at your work session. There's only 2 items next week.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully.
No,
Mayor,
we're
you
not,
have
we're
your
not,
input
we're
on the
not,
corona virus and
we're
everything
not.
else. Do you have anything else?
I was gonna say, I'd like to talk to you and Tom and after the meeting.
Okay, okay, absolutely.
Okay,
Anybody else have anything else? Thank you so
congratulations,
much, and
Thank
thank you
you,
for serving, I
thank you.
appreciate it.
You want me-
Thank you, thank you.
Can I have this book back? It's mine.
Yes, right.